So, as a business owner, what do you think? What the biggest mistake that early founders will make?
Mistakes that any founder would make. There's a lot. There's a lot that can happen. Most businesses, I think if you're starting a business, you find this out pretty early on that most businesses fail within the first year or two. And by fail, meaning like they actually shut their doors. They're not, you don't have any business. Um, my company, when I started it, was, I grew pretty quickly, added people, and consistently found new business starting out. But eventually, I got a client that was so big that like they consumed all of my resources, my contractors and employees. Like almost everyone was working for this company, this client, and I didn't prepare for that. Right, I wasn't ready to, somehow have pipeline and be able to continue to grow so that when that project shut down, eventually I didn't have anything to fill it in. And so, just because you're good at what you do doesn't mean you're good at everything else. And I'm not a marketing and sales person, right? It's just not my forte. And that's knowing that that's where my weakness is. I could have, more proactively found people and find some way to trust them, right? So, someone you can trust to bring in and fill in those gaps. While my expertise was essentially the product we were selling, um, I still needed to run a business, and a business requires leads and it requires sales flow and somebody to close those deals. That was something I just didn't really fully understand. Right? I thought, oh, all my people are busy. We're billing at 100%. It's great. But shortly after that, like I had to come up with a new business plan because once the big client is gone, you don't have anything to fuel it. I think the real lesson there is find your weakness and then find a way to solve for it.
Have you ever been broke in the business?
Not entirely, right? There's always been something, but at some point, like if you have a large team and you don't have enough work for all of them to do, in that type of business, in other business models, like you have a product that you're selling and you don't usually have to scale back that quickly. Um, but I can imagine like in a manufacturing business where you're producing product and you fulfill orders based on your customers' needs. You could have a similar situation where a large customer is there and then they disappear. Um, so I've never had to deal with absolute gone broke and had to shut down. My consulting business is still alive and well. Um, and it's how I got into ProPlans. I was mentoring their CEO on doing their pitch and helping them with their business plan, and they started talking to me about their technology, they just gaps in their technology leadership, and then invited me in to be a part of their team because they realized this is where we're weak. This is where we need the most help. And so you're networking, you're finding people that can work well with your business, and um, if you're doing that, and you like you said, your network is your net worth. That's where you're going to find that you can survive.
Awesome. Sounds like you're more than a CTO. You know a lot. Across the enterprise, every subject is you are touched. So let's talk about the sales. This is the hottest thing for any company to survive or go great, right? You mentioned building the relationships with the people, but in reality everybody is doing the same thing, right? Everybody wants the leads, everyone wants to build a relationship. So how do you approach to really make it successful relationship?
Yeah, I think uh, the real in my experience, the way that relationships are built is by asking someone, how can I help you? Right? It's not pitching a product, because you might be pitching to, and this is a method that some people use, is just scattershot pitch to everyone, right? Everyone on LinkedIn, everyone in your email list, and just see what sticks. But particularly, like I said, in my experience in my business, if you're coming into to someone's office, or you're meeting with them for the first time, and you ask them, how can I help you? They will give you an answer that's honest, because they know that, if you're asking honestly what they need, they'll let you know. This has been bothering me for some time. We don't have the right team makeup, or we're losing people all the time. How can we improve our retention? And part of what I've done as a consultant is to build teams, and not just build the software teams, so that they function effectively, and that they can be then transferred over to the client for permanent employment. It's not that easy to solve every problem, right? But if somebody has a real pain point, and they feel like you're listening, and that you're willing to do whatever it takes for them, then you build a relationship that's based on value as well as trust.